My man who played under Tom Hafey and was involved in those 4 premierships and twice as a captain is Royce Hart. Royce, welcome back to the Melbourne Cricket Ground, the scene of some of your most famous triumphs. It must bring back some ghosts for you and some great memories being here.
Oh, it certainly does, Bruce, because we played most of our home games here, and the finals, of course. We played in a lot of finals in that 10-year period.
Being a Hall of Famer this year and all the reflection and the nostalgia that's taken part in the 100th season celebrations, has that permeated right through to you in Tasmania, and do you feel like you've been a part of it?
Yes, it has, and all the young kids down there. If you go into a school in Tasmania, you find it strange with the amount of AFL football being telecast into Tasmania. You ask who their favourite player is, it is always an AFL player, or who their favourite team is, it's an AFL team.
What about that decade under Hafey? It was unique, wasn't it? It was the greatest period in Richmond's history.
Well, I believe it was. The old-timers might argue with it, but we played in 5 grand finals in 10 years, winning 4, and I think that was a pretty good record. And the players that came, Bruce, to the club at that particular time in the mid-60s, they formed the nucleus of that side for 10 years. You had great players like Bartlett and Burke, Clay, Barrett, Green, Richardson, and they played right through.
Geelong you beat in a very famous grand final, the first one that you were involved in 1967. It was one of the best matches of all time.
Yes, people who have seen grand finals regard it as an excellent match. At the 20-minute mark of the last quarter, scores were level, and Geelong had players in their side like Polly Farmer, Billy Goggin, Dennis Marshall, some fabulous players, and they really were unlucky to lose, but we won't give it back to them.
And Royce, the one that you missed out on, the one that you were beaten in, you kicked 22 goals and yet were defeated. What a remarkable... Oh, there's the great mark. You've seen that before?
That's been on 1 or 2 times, yes.
You kicked 22 goals and yet lost against Carlton in that incredible final here.
We were red-hot favourites, but they had a couple of good players, like John Nichols and Alex Jezelenko, both kicking 6 or 7 goals each. But we weren't good enough on the day, and that's what grand finals are about, the team that plays well on the day. We were red-hot favourites. We'd beaten them in the finals up until then and beaten them convincingly. But they came out in the day and they kicked the record score. We kicked the record score, but we didn't win.
Knee injuries. Now, you had a couple of major knee operations during your day. You weren't the only Richmond player either, but we talk about them a lot today, but they were certainly a part of football in the mid-1970s and late 60s, weren't they?
Oh, in the late 60s and 70s they were going into hospital the same rate as what they're going now, but the difference in those days, it took about 6 months to get over it. The guys go in today and they're out and playing in 2 or 3 weeks, and I was amazed to see young Matthew Richardson playing out here this afternoon, how he's come back. I saw him over in Launceston in a practice match against Hawthorn in terrible conditions, and he was very tentative, and I thought he may not get back to his best or take 2 or 3 years, but his recovery has been remarkable.
Do you feel that he's one of the keys to Richmond's success in the 90s?
Oh, I've got no doubt about that. I've been back in Tasmania for near on 10 years now, and he's by far the best junior player to come out of the state. And there's been quite a few good ones, but he's had height and pace, he has the skills, he's got everything to change a game, and we've had some good players come out, but they haven't been the 6'6" players who can run and kick and do everything, the agility of Richardson.
What about Tasmania and the prospects of maybe one day having a team in the AFL? Where do you sit on that issue?
I sit fairly much in favour of it because of the fact that Tasmania doesn't need re-educating as far as football. Brisbane and Sydney did. Now, you've seen the success of Adelaide and Perth in a short period of time. I think Tasmania will fall into that category, but as long as we don't take a relocated team that can't win a game in the AFL at present and plonk them in Tasmania and stick with those players and expect them to win overnight, we must supplement it with Tasmanian players born and bred, and in that way the Tasmanian public will give you 2 or 3 years to settle in, and if the local content is maybe 20 or 30%.
Royce, you're also heavily involved in Footscray, not as a player but as a coach, and they're playing Richmond today. That period as a coach, what for 2.5 seasons was it? Or
2.5 seasons.
Were you sacked in that final season?
No, it's something a lot of people don't know. I wasn't sacked because I'd signed a contract maybe 3 months beforehand saying that if I was sacked I was paid X amount of money, so they've called me up. Instead of sacking me, they said you're demoted to coach the third, so I was going to have senior wages coaching the thirds.
For how long? 3 years?
3 years, the most expensive third coach on record.
So what happened? You came to a situation where
we came to agreement, yes.
You came to an agreement, fair enough. And on a more serious note for a moment, we've all been touched by the Port Arthur tragedy in Hobart, and it must have been just the worst thing and an awful experience for everybody down there.
Well, particularly because of the place that Tasmania is, because it's quiet, there's fresh air, the environment, it's just a perfect situation down there, and the Tasmanian people didn't believe that could happen, but I'm sure that it's touched everyone's hearts in the state, and in fact, from what I can gather, all over the country and all over the world.
Yeah, no doubt about that. In fact, our network will be having a 1-hour special next Sunday from 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Just finally, there'll be a parade today of past champions. I believe that not all the motor vehicles are now going to be used because of the condition of the ground.
No, they're only getting the real old ones in the motor vehicles. Us young ones at 50 have to walk around the ground, and I don't think that's fair.
I think you'll manage, Royce. I think you'll manage. It's been great to catch up. You've left your indelible print on the game. 11 wonderful seasons with Richmond, and congratulations on that. And good luck and have a good day today with all your old mates.
I will do, Bruce.
Royce Hart, one of the Hall of Famers from the Richmond Football Club.